to Trailblazing Career Tech Minds, the podcast where we dive into the innovative world of career tech. Join us as we explore the latest trends, tools, and transformations shaping the future of work. Each episode, we bring you insights from industry leaders, cutting-edge technologists, and forward-thinking educators who are pioneering the way forward. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting your journey, this podcast is your gateway to understanding how technology has revolutionized careers and empowering the workforce of tomorrow. Tune in and stay ahead of the curve with Trailblazing Career Tech Minds. I'm your host and career coach, Morel Baxter, and today's Trailblazer, we have Miss Bridget Wilson.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. And my co-host is
Brittany Eames, a science teacher here at Baldwin Prep.
Yes, so I've been trying to get Bridget on the podcast for a couple of weeks now, so I am so excited to have you on today. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. How do we work with you?
Oh, goodness. Let's count the ways.
Yes.
Let's do that part.
If we can.
Yeah, so for me, I serve as executive director for, a lot of people know us as SAWDC, Alabama Works, and so the long term is Southwest Alabama Workforce Development Council.
I have a funny story about that too.
Yeah, for sure. We use it all the time. The story's great. And so, but for us, we represent the Regional Workforce Council for Region 7. So the state is broken down into 7 regional workforce councils. And so there's 7 regions. We serve in Region 7, which is, I like to term it, we're the last Region 7, but we're the best region that functions in the state when we look at workforce development. And so there's 7 regional workforce councils that serve business and industry, and we serve as a collaborator and connector between education, students, job seekers, other organizations that promote and work within the workforce cycle. We look at that as, there are lots of connectors and it takes everyone, and a lot of times you'll hear duplication of services and that everyone's doing the same thing. But also when you look at our labor force participation rate being what it is, and we look at the number of individuals that are not actively in the job market, we really have enough space for all of us to work in those avenues together. So we find ways to collaborate together, and sometimes we have to do some things independently, but it all works really well. Mm-hmm. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
We're super excited to have you. I know that I could not do half the things that I do without y'all's support and your help. So thank you for everything you do.
Well, thanks.
From Region 7. And I'm glad I got to introduce you today to Brittany, one of our star teachers at Baldwin Prep.
I like to say having a science teacher doing a podcast is pretty amazing outside of your scope on a lot of comfort zones, right?
It is, but it's been good. We have an English teacher that helps us out as well. And so we really have enjoyed learning about the career tech side of education, because just being on the academic side, our minds are blown at what we can do on the core side, and how we can connect and just try to make these students more prepared for what's to come, and just partnering with our career tech teachers. It's been a breath of fresh air.
Well, as a workforce practitioner, that is music to our ears, that we like to be able to convey that to our business and industry partners, that, say we're connecting them in their core classes with industry all at one time. And so that's been the nice part about having BPA come to fruition, is that we can actually let those partners see that, and then you guys actually hear from them and go, this is what we need them to be able to do. And you are that imaginative, innovative side that can say, oh, this is how we can apply this, so they know how to do it. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a challenge. But when you hear from industry and they're telling you this is what we need people that can think critically. We need people that can work on teams. We need people that are innovative and willing to try new things. It just gives us the push we need to make those changes in our classes. And without their input, we wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm super excited you're here, because you're kind of that liaison between the industry and the education side. And it's that's why we need more people.
We can always do better. So that's for sure.
I've enjoyed getting to work with Carol and Brittany. We're already we're planning some field trips. Let's talk about that one. We are kind of in the work zone. So we want to go to Spectrum Resorts. Because they have hospitality, they have the spa for cosmetology, they have what else?
Culinary.
They've got all the things.
Construction down there.
Yeah, there's going to be maintenance. I mean, it's everything.
And then also, too, as the science teacher, I'm excited because also on Fort Morgan Road, you've got some oyster farms. And so in our environmental science class, that's part of our standards. We talk about the role of oysters and like what they play, the role in the environment, but how are they helping our industry? And I mean, they serve the oysters from Fort Morgan Road. They serve them at the beach club. So it's going to be kind of a full circle moment. So they're going to get
That's amazing.
Career Tech connections. They're going to get some English connections because we're reading a text called The Gulf during that time, and it's all about the history of the Gulf of Mexico and Mobile Bay. And so we'll be able to pull some excerpts from that connect directly to the region we're going to be visiting and seeing what that looks like in industry.
How are the students doing in the core classes right now? Because it is different and they're so flexible. And I'm walking through their building and I'm seeing y'all teaching in the halls. Y'all are using all the space, and it's really cool to see it. But I mean, are they adjusting well to the flexibility?
Yes, we're in that adjustment period because we all came from different backgrounds, and I'm teaching in ways I've never taught before, which has been such a good challenge. And what we're noticing is we have students who are really used to working on teams, but then we also have students that's an area they need to grow. And so we're in, I don't want to say the grow and pain stage, but right now we're getting to know each other. We're all in new spaces, and so it's an adjustment period right now. But our students are making those strides. They're advocating for themselves, which is something that we've really tried to focus on. Like, if you don't understand something, you need to be able to ask for help. Do what you say you're going to do, ask for help, and just trying to work on some of these job skills that an employer would want their employees to have.
Yeah, it's like being a new employee for an industry. I mean, with you guys being in a new space and new ways of teaching.
That flexibility.
Yeah, I think for them knowing, like, this is no different than being, your first week on a new job.
Yep. I remember Mr. Mouty saying something last week when we were walking through the building that collaborative students, working on something together. No, that's not cheating. Industry says it's teamwork.
Yep.
So it is a whole new way of things. So I'm just curious of how they're doing because it is a lot different.
It's an adjustment period, and I think teachers are also having to learn two different ways of teaching. So prior to coming to Baldwin Prep, co-teaching, being in the same room, teaching with another teacher, sharing students, wasn't something that always happened at our old schools. And so we're having to learn, with my co-teacher and I in third and fourth period, Ms. French, we're having to learn how to dance together. And who's going to take the lead, who's going to pull back. And so that just PLC environment, the professional learning communities that we have, it's what my team's actually meeting right now in PLC to talk about, like, what data did we pull from our students' quiz today, and like, how do we need to modify that instruction to make sure we're meeting those needs? And so there's just a bunch of newness to this. But I mean, it's been a challenge, but it's a great challenge.
Yeah.
And I can just speak on behalf of all of our teachers, like, every day we're leaving here tired, but it's a good kind of tired. We're trying new things. We're, helping students make changes themselves, but like, we're also working on ourselves. So
I remember, I think it was Miss Arnold in our last faculty meeting, and I love this quote. She said, "You will not survive if you're not a collaborative teacher." And that is so true. Because I mean, that's when I'm walking through and I'm seeing y'all, like, you have to be flexible and collaborative, and I mean, it's just a really awesome feel to see y'all.
We're trying to model this for our students, because if that's what industry is saying they want, well, as professionals, we need to be modeling that. And so, but it's, to say we have it all figured out right now, 6 weeks into the school year, that would not be the truth.
Right.
We're all figuring it out. We're working together, but I feel like that's the perfect example to show the students, is it's not always going to go right the first time. You got to be willing to reflect, work on yourself, and try something new.
When you came, I can't remember. So I gave you a tour.
Oh, yeah.
We had scheduled the first podcast with Bridget, and it was literally on the first day of school, I think, and we just were not ready. Because, it was the first day for teachers. Students weren't here yet. So we still had a lot of construction going on, a lot of
noise.
Yeah, a lot of background noise. And so we just decided to move it back. But she ended up coming anyway and said, "Oh, I forgot we're not doing the podcast, so we're doing a tour today." So what did you think? I mean, we didn't have students in the building at that time, but I mean, from your perspective, you're the connection. I mean, what did you think? What do you think of the building?
And I think you know this.
It's like breathless.
It really was, and it was a personal moment because Baldwin County is my home. I'm a graduate from Baldwin County High School, and so to see your home where you were cultivated and grown and developed into the person that you are, to see something like this available is unbelievable. I mean, it literally, I could feel like the tears coming, like just where you get warm and you're like, oh, this is because I saw it during construction. We had we were lucky enough to be able to come in with some of our industry partners and kind of take a look to begin having those intro conversations about partnerships in certain departments for curriculum that has gone into the school. And so to see it when no equipment was in, no furniture was in, and then we come in and furniture's being moved in and everything's coming to life. Like the vision is actually there. So it was overwhelming to see what these students were going to have access to. And they're able to work with equipment that even some employers don't even have this matter of up-to-date equipment yet, that they're going to already know and be able to repair and work on and all of the things. And so it was amazing. So
it really did touch me too the first time I came in. I mean, it just, oh gosh.
Yeah, what amazes me is how many steps y'all have to walk.
Oh, I think I've lost 3 pounds since I've been here.
This place is tremendous.
And that's what, on the teacher side, like some of us move from the first floor to second floor throughout the day. Like I know I'm in this wing in the 400 where the health science teachers are, and then I spend part of my day over here in the 600 wing. And so yes, we're getting our steps in.
Yeah, you need carts.
We have like.
Y'all have carts.
Cobalt tool carts.
Love it.
That's your teacher desk.
That's my teacher desk.
I love it.
We don't have a landing
desk
spot, but we have these really nice carts that they got lockable storage, and you can hear us coming. Like if a teacher's coming, you hear the wheels on this cart. But that's our portal, and that's different because in our old schools, like we had our own room, we had our own desk. Like you had your space. Here, all this space.
Co-working space is amazing.
And I think when they modeled this too, like Mr. Mowdy said, they did a tour of the Novalis plant in Atlanta, and higher ups even, they did not have their own office space. He said they're all fluid and they're all moving about, and they can rent spots or they can come in and share spots, but nobody has like their office. And I think that's kind of how Google is a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's a plug and play environment, and I know the European model is very much like that too, where it's open concept for everything, and so it's different.
It's different, but I like it.
You learn to use a really nice inside voice. So
I'm not good at that.
Me either. But it is really cool.
Well, I'm glad you got to see it. I wanted you to be able to see it before we had you on the podcast. So.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to next April when we do a workforce summit for Region 7, where BPA is going to host us here.
Yes, we are.
We can't wait to bring everybody in, and do tours and stuff. And
tell us about the workforce summits.
Oh, goodness. So those have been going on. They used to be quarterly, that we would bring business and industry and educators, everybody together 4 times a year and do quarterly workforce summits. And we would do updates and new programs and different things. And of course, through COVID, you evolve, right? And you try to figure out what's working, what's not working. And so for us with SAWDC, we do it twice a year now. We do workforce summits twice a year. So our next one is coming up October 16th. And so we have 3 phenomenal workforce practicing partners that are coming in. One is Ingram State, that really works on training programs for justice-involved individuals. And so it's real important for us to make sure that our business and industry partners understand how they can take advantage of those individuals where they're getting trained, and it's in a very disciplined and structured environment of what they're doing, and they're learning skilled trades and getting their certifications. So that way when they exit the system, they're ready to go right into a workplace. And so that's we tap into the market, but it's an untapped overall market to actually get more individuals back into the workplace for sure. The other is on our veteran side. With living on the Gulf Coast like we are, we're a huge attractive location for retirees out of the military for them to come in, but they still want to work. They can retire really early, just like most of you can from education, and so they still have a lot to contribute, and they want to. And so understanding how we as industry get those individuals and we attract them and we develop programs that are supportive of them, and then of course with ADRS, and so for you guys, if you don't know them, it's the Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services. And so, we do have individuals that want to work that do need some simple modifications. Sometimes they're complex modifications. And so they're individuals that co-work beside an individual that needs some modifications to be able to work, but can still contribute into the production and livelihood of your industry. And so they're coming in to speak to everybody in October, which is really nice. And so to kind of support, that brings everyone together. And then, of course, to piggyback off of that, for the other two sets of the quarters, we really started what we call Partners in Workforce, which is where we focus on our more rural communities within the region, because sometimes it's hard for them to travel. So we want to make sure that we're being very inclusive in what we're doing.
I went to Partners in Workforce with all the Baldwin County career coaches. I guess it was last May when Ingram State spoke, and I am embarrassed to say that I didn't even know about any of that they were talking about their programs, and so I thought it was very interesting. I'm excited to hear them come back.
It's a nice approach that there's, with Ingram State being the only community college that focus on technical trade and education for our justice involved. It used to be multiple institutions throughout the state, and then they took a different approach, and so it keeps it very kind of focused on what they're doing, and so they can really gravitate and serve those individuals, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Existed.
I know.
I just continue to be blown away at what just
we are too a lot of times.
This side of education, what it looks like. Like it just blows my mind, and it almost leaves me at a loss for words, because 2 years ago, because this past year I took a year off to build curriculum for Baldwin Prep. So 2 years ago, I'm sitting in my classroom, and that's just what I'm doing. I'm in my classroom, trying to make connections. Like I taught in the STEM Academy at Robertsdale, trying to make connections with industry, but it was on such a small scale. And then we have organizations like yours that are they come in and they just pave the way just to make this so much easier. And I'm very excited. So as a core teacher, I am very excited just at what opportunities is going to happen here at Baldwin Prep.
Yeah, and Mr. Seeley, if you're listening, maybe all the teachers can come to the big meeting in April.
October.
I was thinking about the spring meeting that's going to be at Baldwin Prep.
For sure.
We're going to need how many subs?
47.
Yeah. But they are such good meetings, and I always look forward to them. So I'm looking forward to coming in October and hearing about that again. And look at this cool little thing right here.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
It's new for us. And so
this pamphlet.
Yeah, so a lot of times we struggle, like you just said, just like I didn't know who SAWDC was and what do you do? And for me, I've been in workforce development for 15 years, so I feel like I can, wake up in the morning or I go to sleep at night thinking about workforce and just speak to it. But a lot of times, like with your team and your community, they don't understand. And so we worked with a group recently to really put together your link to Workforce Solutions, and it's really the SAWDC link of like, what do we do and how do we help? And we made sure in what we do, because we have a little internal communication piece that supports this. So we as a team, there's only 3 of us on the SAWDC team, but all of us can speak the same language. And we actually have a reminder on the front page at the bottom of our internal document that actually tells us what is workforce development. Because a lot of times people say, well, you say you do workforce development, but what is that? And it means a lot of different things to a lot of people. And none of them are really wrong. And so, but just finding what lane everyone is in and that we're moving in the same direction, but also keeping the communication lines open. And one is, I think one of the biggest things over the years that I've seen the struggle with is a lot of territory ownership and us remembering that we're a team in it versus not working against one another, working in tandem. So that we all have to be reminded of that, us as well as an organization. We have to kind of get outside of ourselves and remember the big picture that we're really doing this for an individual, because those students are the products that you produce that are going into the workforce, for them to earn money, to pay taxes, which are really important for us as communities for survival. So it's just, this is a reminder. So this is, for us to give to new industry partners or for someone like you who didn't know who we were, so you can have a little bit of a glimpse. And so you'll see some other things that come out from this.
I like it.
With a new layout in the newsletter that's coming over in the next couple of weeks as well. Not really a rebranding or anything like that. We're utilizing some of the brand colors that we haven't been using before.
It's a good color.
So we like it a lot, and so excited to have it. So really for the team.
I love it. So I have to just show the story. I was telling one of my friends, and now she's a counselor, Kelly, about SAWDC, and I kept telling her about SAWDC. She kept thinking I was saying salty sea until she figured out I was like, SAWDC, oh, okay. So
yeah, I love the fact when she tells us all that she was actually Googling salty
she was Googling salty sea
to try to call us, because I think you were out on maternity
I was out
leave.
on maternity leave. I came in and I left her.
Yep. And so she didn't want to bother Morel, which I thought was great.
He's sweet.
And she's Googling it to try to find us, to send us an email or call us.
So how did she finally figure it out?
I don't know. I can't remember how she figured it out finally.
I don't know if Mr. Mowdy
Probably.
maybe finally told her, because she said it, and
That
he
is
was like,
But I was like, when she said it, I was like, it does sound like salty sea, but it's SAWDC.
yeah.
Funny thing.
It's great.
I will never forget that. So, Educator's Workforce Academy.
Oh, yep.
I'm so glad you're sitting here, Brittany. You would be loving it. So, I went through, I guess call me a graduate?
Yes.
Am I a graduate?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I went through it 2 years ago with Mr. Mowdy and Mr. Seeley and a couple of more educators, but it was amazing. And it just really helped me connect with every sector of industry. We do a meeting once a month. Tell us all about that.
Whew. So we're in the throes of EWA.
It's happening this year for the first time Thursday, right?
On Thursday, September 12th.
I know my team of career coaches are very excited.
We have quite a few from Baldwin County this year.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see some principals coming in.
Oh, that's great.
This year. So we really look at Educator Workforce Academy to really kind of give, like you were talking about, like bridging a little bit of a gap between education and industry and education, because sometimes we all don't speak the same language.
No, we do not.
And so our goal is for our educators to hear it firsthand from them, but also take some tours and see some things when you're not having to watch over your students. So you're actually getting to see it, how it happens and what's being done, but also hear some of the labor data going on and kind of the why behind why we look at those numbers. But this year will be 5 sessions of Educator Workforce Academy. And so construction is a new
I didn't get to do that one.
That's being added in this year. So they'll see some wonderful pipe fitting areas and maintenance areas of construction and on physical job site of what's going on. And of course, hospitality and tourism and manufacturing is a really big day. And but day 1 on September 12th is we stay inside all day and really hear from our state partners, and we take tours of the Advanced Manufacturing Center at Bishop State Community College. And so they'll go over, and see that as well. And so
You may have to stay inside Thursday.
well, the plan is to be inside all the
Be
whole
wet.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the plan.
I loved it.
But
it
we're
was
at
great.
capacity for this year.
How many do y'all take a year?
So I'll tell you, you'll see some regions take more. We cap it at 25, and I'll tell you because that's how many seats are on the bus. So starting with session 2 through 5, you park in the mornings, you get on the bus, and then we are on the road the rest of the day. And so you are traveling to different site locations with industry partners for tours and for conversation and things like that. So
do it next year. It
Yeah,
always
when
comes
When you have
out.
to sign out.
So we typically post the applications the 2 weeks before schools start. So we try to hit educator emails right when you guys come back, before the students come back, when you actually have a moment to breathe so you can actually complete the application. So we try to do it about 2 weeks before students come back, and then we make the selection process. And typically we'll start September or October. We work really well, thank goodness, for career coaches that really help us on the calendars, that look at some of the testing schedules and different things that may impact over holistically any educator. And so, we encourage superintendents to attend, vice principals and things. And we know with superintendents, they're running school systems. So that kind of becomes a challenge. And so I think like long-term planning, if you were to say, what would you like to do and what's something you would do differently? And I do think it's finding a way to probably connect and interact on a better level with our superintendents within our region. We have a phenomenal connection with our CTE group as a whole, from superintendents, supervisors, managers, because they all have different titles. We do a great job there, and they do serve as an intermediary between themselves and the superintendents for us. So it's not that, but I think that there is always an opportunity to kind of expand.
Well, one thing I would not change would be hospitality day, because I made myself sick. We ate all day. It was amazing.
Yep.
I mean,
We're
every
gonna
culinary program's bringing in. I mean, then we went in towards some hotels. They had moon pies. I mean, it was crazy. It was amazing.
Yep. So we're doing some cooking demonstrations this year.
Okay.
And some more hospitality tours at hotels and things. So
We had some cooking demonstrations too. I think. I just remember eating all day, and it was great.
Yeah, one thing we're good at overall is probably making sure there are always snacks. Yeah, always snacks.
You should definitely do it next year, though.
I'm already planning. I have a mental note.
Yes.
Got you.
I'll try to remember to forward it to y'all.
People.
I know someone
that
I think
would
I
love
can
it.
get you in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good to know.
Yeah, it was really great. So I guess with that, in the Workforce Educators Academy, and you're linking businesses under educators, I know you mentioned, that's another thing that you do and partner with us at the Career Coach Connect, that y'all are making an internship guide. I guess Bridget Young mentioned that about the internship guide.
Yes, and a phenomenal job she's done. So in spring of 2021, Morel, we really started with Riviera Utilities for our first utility summer internship, and it exploded from there.
It really did.
And so this summer we just completed the fourth round of that, and we had 6 utility companies. And so we felt like we had tested, tried, and true, kind of the process, and how the timeline works and everything. And so with that, what we saw is maybe a potential, maybe a gap, but more of just an opportunity, because our goal is to be an advocate for individuals to find career pathways. It's not just to find a job. We want a person to find a career. And business and industry know that they have to start developing relationships at a younger age. And so part of that process can happen through an internship, and they can test the waters. It's almost like Josh Duplantis with Coastal calls it dating. So,
Oh, yeah.
He calls it dating. And they can do that through a summer internship. And so we really dove down and designed a guide for industry partners on exactly how to develop their internship. And it dials down to working with their career coach and picking one high school that's closest to their location or picking multiple schools. Prime example, we had a partner last summer that had never done an internship program before. And that was Ammons and Blackman on the construction side.
They were at the networking lunch today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when we talked to them, you know, we suggested like, hey, pick a high school that's closest to you. And for year one, let's focus on 1 or 2 students, you know, not go with 17 students like Riviera, you know, that sort of thing. And so like building it as you go. And so that's part of exactly what this guide is. And so in December, we'll have it kind of what we term as a strategy industry cluster meeting. And it'll be specifically for us to, you know, kind of hand out those guides and launch it to be able to work with our partners and take them through those steps from, you know, a student resume, you know, kind of because their resume is not going to look like ours. They've potentially, their jobs may have been working with their granddad on the farm, or it could have been babysitting. It could have been volunteering, you know, at church on Sundays or whatever it is. But also, what does a sample student job application look like? Because that was a challenge that we had with our first set of students applying for those internship jobs. Is the application was meant for
adults,
and and it didn't fit, and there were so many blank spots, and there's a lot of stress and anxiety that comes for a young adult that have blank spots on an application, and they automatically create a wall and a barrier and tell themselves that they failed when they didn't. So we list all that out for them and provide those examples and those timelines of like, how long does it start? When do you start prepping and having the conversation with your HR team and talking to your workers' compensation group about having summer interns, and that you don't just make a call on a Monday and Morel posts the job on Friday. Like it takes a little more planning and time than that. So we're looking forward to December because we think for some, it'll give them enough time as long as they launch it by February.
I can't wait to see that. I think businesses are going to be excited about that too, because a lot of the times when I'm talking to businesses about how we could partner, especially with this school, internship comes in all the time and they just really don't know how to get started. And I mean, you were so great in like linking Riviera with us and just, you know, spearheading that whole thing. And we started off, 24 the first year and doubled it the next year. And then it's grown and grown and grown every year.
It's amazing.
It has been absolutely amazing. And that's one of the things where if you decide to go in with the internship, you are making that pipeline for a student into a real job one day. So I'm super excited I'm going to use it. I know I'm going to use it. I'm going to be handing that out for sure. But gosh, you're so great to us, sweet. Especially career coaches.
You make it easy to do the work.
We had our if you're listening, we have our Career Coach Connect last week, and we meet with all the career coaches in the region, and SAWDC is such a wonderful partner on that too.
We love it.
I can just keep going down the list. Like I could just keep talking to you for hours about all the things that we've done. We hadn't even talked about all the internships or Baldwin Girls Build yet, but so many great things.
It's a lot of fun things. So
it is.
It is definitely, I had a colleague of mine, she and I were talking, and she said, where is the work where you want to pour your energy? You know, and it's about the energy that brings value, and it's things like that. It's connecting people together, connecting opportunities and processes, you know, and trying to come up with solutions to challenges, you know, and also the great thing about it is being in a place where if it doesn't work, it's okay. Like, it doesn't break a process in manufacturing where it shuts down a line. So we have this wonderful opportunity to kind of redo it and reinvent it. And, you know, if it works, then that's great. And we can tweak along the way. So that part's enjoyable. Like, it doesn't have to be right the first time.
Well, I love working with you. You're such a great partner.
Thank you.
And we just cannot thank you enough for coming on today and spending
So
some
much
time
fun.
with us.
So
Yes.
nice to meet you,
It's so nice
too.
to meet you. I
Yeah.
just think, like, after this, I keep finding myself going back to the same thought that we just collectively, education, industry, business, are better together.
Yes.
And just,
Agreed.
it's organizations like SAWDC that kind of help. You used the term connectors earlier. Like, it paves those pathways and makes it easy. And, like, I don't know, I've just really been refreshed
Yeah.
being in this
Awesome.
conversation
Thank
today.
you.
That's so
Thank you.
kind.
She's great. I
for
told
being
you she
here.
was great.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So,
Well,
for
thank you
being
so
here.
much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And we want to have you back on too. I always want to follow up in the spring, so we're going to keep this
Fantastic.
going.
All right.
All right. Thank you.